All right, today we're putting joint genesis under the microscope. We're going to break down how it says it works, what real users are actually experiencing, and all the important stuff you absolutely need to know before you even think about buying it. So let's just cut to the chase, right? Does joint genesis actually live up to all the hype? That's the big question. We've dug into the science they claim, stacked it up against real user reviews, and now we're here to lay it all out for you. First things first. To figure out if this thing can actually work, we have to understand how it's supposed to work. So what's the science they're selling us on? Okay, so the whole idea behind joint genesis really boils down to one thing: synovial fluid. Now you can think of this stuff as like the oil in your car's engine, but for your joints. It's the natural cushion and lubricant that keeps everything moving smoothly. The problem is, as we get older, this fluid thins out, and that's when you start feeling that awful stiffness, that grinding, and yeah, that pain. Joint genesis says it goes straight for that root cause. So how do they claim to fix that? Well, the formula really leans on two main ingredients. First step is something called Mobilee. It's a patented ingredient, and its whole job is to boost something called hyaluronan. That's the key molecule that makes your joint fluid thick and slippery. You know, the way it's supposed to be. Then you've got French Maritime Pine Bark. This is basically a super powerful antioxidant, and it's in there to help get a handle on inflammation in your joints. And how do you use it? Super simple. It's just one capsule, once a day, with a glass of water. They say taking it in the morning is best, so it can work for you all day long. Easy enough? Okay, so that's the theory on paper. But what happens when the rubber meets the road? You know, in a real-world test? Well, one of the sources we looked at gives us a detailed 90-day user trial, and it tracks the whole journey from being a total skeptic to seeing the final results. And the reviewer, a guy named David, made a really important point. He said it wasn't just about the pain going away. For him, the real win, the crucial part, was getting his actual life back. You know, regaining flexibility and strength. That's the stuff that really changes everything. So let's look at his journey. He started out pretty skeptical, which is fair. But after just 1 month, he was already noticing a difference. His joints felt less stiff, and his back pain was starting to ease up. Fast forward to day 90, and his conclusion? He said he felt like he'd finally regained control over his own body. That's a huge statement. After those 3 months were up, his final verdict was crystal clear. No hesitation. He called it a game changer and even said it was the best investment he'd ever made for his health. Wow! All right, so we've got the science on one side and a really compelling user story on the other. But hold on. Before anyone jumps to a conclusion, we need to talk about the practical stuff. You know, the fine print. Let's get into the guarantees and, really importantly, where you can buy this thing safely. And right away, this is where things get a little interesting. We found a direct contradiction in our sources. David's review, the 90-day guy, mentions a 60-day money-back guarantee. But another source we reviewed states very clearly that there's a 180-day guarantee. That's a big difference. So what's the takeaway for you? Double-check the guarantee when you buy. Simple as that. But it's worth noting that the longest guarantee we saw reported was a full 180 days. I mean, that's 6 months. That gives you a massive, pretty much risk-free window to see if it actually works for you. Now listen up, because this next part is super important. It's a warning we saw again and again in the sources. To make sure you're not getting a fake or some cheap knockoff, the real joint genesis is apparently only sold on their official website. Both sources really hammered this point home. Buy from the official site to make sure you're getting the genuine product. On that note, it's important to note that the link to the official, secure website for joint genesis is down in the video description. Okay, let's bring it all home. What's the bottom line here? Let's pull everything together for the final analysis so you know exactly what to take away from all this. So, let's break it down. On the plus side, it claims to go after a real biological root cause, that thinning joint fluid. We've also got that really positive, detailed 90-day user story that suggests it's not just about pain, but about getting your flexibility and strength back. Now, on the flip side, the things you got to consider. The guarantee length is a bit fuzzy between sources, so you'll definitely want to check that yourself. You have to buy it from the official website to be safe. And of course, like any supplement, you have to actually take it every day for it to work. It's a commitment. Which brings us to the final question, and this one is really for you to answer. Is the potential to get that flexibility and strength back, to really move freely again, worth the little bit of homework of checking the guarantee and making sure you buy from the right place? Thanks for watching this review. If this video helped you make a decision, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next analysis. See you in the next